No phone calls, no messages. Nothing but junk mail and overdue bills to keep me company. Seems nobody wants to hire a real private dick anymore. A professional like me. A guy who does the detective work nobody else wants to do. A guy who wears hats and walks around in a black and white world. I began contemplating a more profitable line of work, like politics.
We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. Let's do some housekeeping. You can join the conversation for the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Our text line is up and running. That means you can text the show in real time at 617-297-8388. 617-297-8388. It does appear on a screen here in the studio in real time. We try to work it into the conversation. We are streaming on the TuneIn app, like thousands of other radio stations do. So that means you can take us anywhere. If you don't have the app, seconds to download it. Punch in WCRN, you'll see our cool logo. And then do me a favor, hit the like button. We know you're there. And then we're very easy to find. Or tell Alexa to play WCRN. She'll do that. No questions asked. Today back at HQ, he's flying the board behind the glass, so he'll get you set up into the studio for two-way talking conversation at 508-871-7000. And don't forget, I do stream the show, meaning video, so you can do it on the station's Facebook page or YouTube channel, or you can go to my social media platforms at Joe Mangi, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show, and that would be Twitch TV, LinkedIn profile, X, Facebook, and Rumble. A lot of ways to watch, a lot of ways to listen. And it's turned into a podcast later on. So you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. That could be Google Play, iHeartRadio. You know the drill on that. So here we are, folks. I mean, we are 4 days out of the assassination attempt on Saturday night. It's all coming out now, right? So we're going to learn more about this. 4 days ago, this lone gunman with a shotgun, a handgun, multiple knives. He tried to slaughter the president and the cabinet, for that matter, inside the Correspondents' dinner. But President Trump, Melania, Vance, they're all safe, thanks to the Secret Service. But the left's reaction on this, that it was staged, is absolutely crazy. In case you've been living under a rock here, folks, Saturday night, Trump, remember, he rejected it first term, rejected it last year, went as a sitting president to the Correspondents' dinner. Some even argue that going back, 12 years? No, 13 years, whatever the year it was, I guess. And Barack Obama, he was there as then, billionaire, playboy, international figure that everybody wanted to aspire to be or take pictures with long before he was a fascist and a racist. When he was just a celebrity, Donald Trump, he attended this dinner, and Barack Obama kind of roasted him. Fair enough. He was a big figure, and he craves the attention, and that's fine. But some say that Barack Obama's roasting that night of Donald Trump is what made him decide to run. So that just seems like some kind of Hollywood script, right? That the origin story, that he wouldn't have run for president if Barack Obama didn't tell him he could never be president. I just find that the irony there too much. So just after they served the salad, which I understand was fantastic, but they didn't get to eat the rest of the meal, and I think the Hilton said they prepared 2,600 meals for that night. But 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen, he busted in to this dinner. Not busted. I shouldn't say that. He didn't bust into the dinner. He charged the security checkpoint. One floor above the ballroom, right? Again, I told you, heavily armed, shotgun, handgun, multiple knives. But here's the thing, and I Ted, just to let you know, I'm getting something bleeding into me. I don't know where that's coming from. But the thing is, there was a 25-second gun battle with Secret Service. And it struck one of the agents in the tactical vest. Now, the agent survived. Thank God it didn't do anything to him. But listen to what I said, 25-second gun battle, and a lot of bullets were flying. I'm a little concerned that they responded with gunfire and not one agent hit
force in the Middle East. Do you agree with him on that at least?
Joe, man,
We would be able to
I don't know what that
That's a terrible
bleeding.
thing.
I'm sorry, Ted. I don't know where that's coming from. But a gun battle that goes on like this,
Those people.
and nobody hits the guy. And then there are some conflicting things. I know we're getting into the weeds on this, but I think that we have the right to know what was going on there. You know, some of the reports that first came out were saying that they didn't tackle him; he actually fell. Maybe your mic's on, Ted. I don't know. Something like I said, bleeding in here.
The quote from 2008, right here.
Who
can believe what we read? Did you go to the cops about me?
Ted,
I didn't.
there's a mic or something open. There you go. So anyway, the gun battle that took place here lasted 25 seconds. They never hit this guy. Some say he tripped and then they piled on him. But the agent, who under pains of penalty in his statement, said he tackled the guy. So we go with that. But again, first time that he attends this White House Correspondents' dinner as the president. And I think I mentioned it Sunday, and I think everybody knows, but then again, sometimes I realize, no, things that stick with me don't stick with a lot of people. But that's the same hotel that the 1981 Reagan assassination attempt happened. And they chose to go with a mentalist. I think we know a lot of this. So anyway, a couple days later, or a couple days ago too, 27th, Allen is charged 3 federal counts. Now, attempted assassination of the president. That's a big charge, folks. They hit him with interstate transportation and firearm ammo to commit a felony, discharge a firearm during a crime of violence. So he's facing potentially life in prison. He appeared in the D.C. federal court. More charges are possible. Now, because of that, that means Gene Pirro is the U.S. attorney there. So good luck with that, Thomas Allen Cole. So we have to ask you, what's the motive in the planning? We saw someone else, right, travel across the country, Brett Kavanaugh's would-be assassin, to get Brett Kavanaugh. And what is the common thread here? The guy left a manifesto. You listen to what the Kavanaugh kid has to say. We're having a situation where these people are basically being radicalized by left-wing propaganda and speaking points and rhetoric because they're in that bubble that they get into where it's the echo chamber and they're feeding each other and they're on Blue Sky. And Blue Sky was supposed to be the answer to Twitter when it became X and Elon Musk bought it, because they needed a safe space where they can say things, from horrible things, you know, from the P tape and Russian collusion and Trump's a pedophile and a rapist and all these things that everybody goes, oh, golf applause. Yeah. So this is not some fringe guy. Caltech engineer, well-educated. He got Teacher of the Month a couple of years ago. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But this is someone that you would have your children in a classroom with being taught by this man. This is somebody that's in normal neighborhood. He wasn't a bizarre guy on the fringe, but he was buying into what he was being told with the constant diet of just that rhetoric. Now, investigators say, in this case, the guy acted alone, but he planned for weeks. He reserved a room at the Hilton on April 6th. And then he had writings, pre-attack writings, planning, manifesto to family, or manifesto, but the family called himself the friendly federal assassin. So again, a lot of these people, when they do this, right, they're expecting to become famous for this act and remembered, not for being a billionaire developer or creating a cure to cancer or doing some other fantastic thing serving their country. Nothing like that. But his writings raged against Trump administration and the policies of the Trump administration. And he was targeting administration officials. And they just released this picture of him in the hotel room. It shows him with a shoulder holster in the sheathed knife. So he understood what he was doing. There is no insanity or anything of that. This was well thought out, well planned. But here's my thing on this. And I know everybody, oh, great for the Secret Service. And yes, they did their job. But I got to ask you, 508-871-7000, are you as surprised and scared that this person was able to get so close to the almost entire line of succession to the presidency with such ease? I mean, it was pretty scary if you ask me, that there was just one more door, and that all it takes to get that close to the president, vice president, speaker of the House, secretary of state, we're talking about the first 3-4 line of succession, just check into a hotel. The Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. was, in my opinion, was not anywhere near secure for the security of the president, regardless of who the president. That's not, people temporarily occupy that position. But when the sitting president of the United States goes to an event like this, and the next 2-3 people that would have to step in if something happened are also at the same table, are you kidding me? Why wasn't the hotel cleared except for those people attending the function who wanted to have rooms there? And if you're going to check into the Hilton a couple days before the president is to be there and 90% of the cabinet, expect to be searched. Expect your luggage to be searched. Expect that. Or I just don't understand. That was just not a good situation. And then Trump, of course, wanted to continue that night, right? They convinced him protocol, no, you have to leave the building. But that's Trump for you. This is the guy that got shot in the head of Butler, Pennsylvania, gets up and says, hey, grab my shoes. His ability to handle these things very calmly is impressive. He's able to take a lot of things in stride. But God help you if you criticize his golf game, right? You get 20 tweets or X posted 2 a.m. at Truth Social. But then he mentioned, so he goes back 20 minutes later, he's at the White House, tuxedo, surrounded again by some of the cabinet members, does a press conference off the cuff. And he says, geez, I didn't want to have to say this, but this is why we need the ballroom. Which still, that is a whole nother show, a whole nother topic of discussion. In the Washington Preservation Society, whatever they call themselves, are you kidding me? You stopped the construction in the middle of the construction. The east wing's already been ripped out, and you got a hole in the ground. I would say, or I would think, but then again, I'm not the president, but I would explore national security issue. Because if you remember when this all started, I said to you guys, the $200 million price tag and everything, oh, Jesus, how can you not? You can build that cheaper and everything. And I said back then, and now it's kind of out there and everybody knows. This wasn't just about a ballroom. They're building an extended bunker under that, what's going to be the ballroom. And the ballroom itself is just an incredible fortress. The windows can't be opened. They're all bulletproof glass or bullet resistant. We're not allowed to say bulletproof. Drone right? They have anti-drone technology. In other words, there is a huge military and security bunker or expansion of the bunker being built under this ballroom. That's why what should be a few $1 million is $200 million. And to get donors to pay for a government project like that, let them build it. So now the Preservation Society has this holding around because they stopped it with the court case. Give it up. In any argument on that side, the White House integrity. Are you kidding me? You know how many times that White House has been messed with, other than, of course, the fire when the Brits tried to burn it down, which the King made reference to. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the point is, at one time, the entire interior of the White House was gutted to rebuild it. So just the facade was left out. Back when this was going on, I posted the pictures. The inside of the White House was gone. It was built in a day that we didn't have the ability. You get my point. So the whole White House has been rebuilt, and major portions of it have been rebuilt several times over since it was first built. So this is just absolutely another situation. Hey, it's Trump. Trump's bad. So anything Trump does, we got to fight no matter what. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So, but now to have, X and blue sky influencers coming out there on the left saying this was staged. The conspiracy theories are out there. Over 300,000 posts in the hours afterwards. And the narrative that the Trump administration faked this assassination attempt to distract from bad polls. Again, whose polls are you talking about? The Iran situation, Epstein files, or justify a new White House ballroom. Are you kidding me? Staged. A Secret Service special agent was shot. Thank God his body armor was on. And this guy, Thomas Allen Cole, 31 years old, is going to live the rest of his life, or at least majority of his life, behind bars. Who's faking that? We really got you guys. And then you got the Keith Olbermans and Uger and the Brooklyn Dad, all these guys on social media openly questioning or sarcastically pushed out the stage line, calling it a hoax to change the narrative. Again, where have you been? Donald Trump changes the narrative just by talking or posting. He's the most transparent president we've had. He doesn't shy away from anything, including when a reporter asks a stupid question or an asinine question. He tells them, that's a stupid question. Why would you ask that? That's silly. I've never seen a president call it out like that. And then they wonder why half the country likes this guy. We don't have politicians, much less a president, who will say, that's a stupid question when it's a stupid question. Okay. And then if we go back to Butler, same thing. I mean, there were people literally saying that was also to boost him in the campaign. And so the man was actually shot. If we're talking inches, if not millimeters, it would have been a very different story, very different conversation, and we wouldn't have him as the 47th president. And then they wonder why we've lost faith in our government. They lie. So this must be fake. Look, some elected officials and pundits, they get caught up in the heat of the moment, right? But trying to downplay it or make light of it right after it happened, that's a calculated thing you're doing. You're not wrapped up in the heat of the moment. It's asinine. People could have seriously been injured, hurt, or killed in this incident. And the very different thing, and this goes for a lot of the media in the room. After all, it's the Correspondents' dinner. There were people in the media who have covered wars, who have reported from war zones, who have been out there in natural disasters. There are some pretty credentialed reporters in that room. But here's the difference Saturday night, guys, including President Trump. Most of the time, you don't have your spouse sitting next to you. And you had all these people in the media and all these politicians or political people in that room not knowing what's going on. But a lot of them either understood that those noises were in fact gunshots. And as soon as the doors burst open and you see the CAT team, which is, the counter assault team coming in, those are the guys in the black vest and the black helmet and infrared and night vision goggles and all that. They're counter attack team, right? Counter assault teams. And you got the SWAT. As soon as those doors burst open and these people just appeared from behind the dais, they understood what was going on. Okay. And nobody could do anything. They're under the table. They're being told to get down. Security details are going for the cabinet members. There's some video of them escorting Kennedy or RFK out, and they have him surrounded, hand on the shoulder, directing him. And his wife is behind the whole team, and she's kind of like, really? Because the security team, that's the secondary protectee, right? RFK's the principal, they call it. And she's just secondary. And she had to even ask for help to get over the dais and onto the other side. But anyway. So, yes, they did a good job. They got the guy. They tackled him, right? They neutralized the threat. But I think this was still a security failure. Because how did this California teacher check into the Hilton with guns? Reserved that room weeks earlier. And get within one floor of the ballroom. In my understanding, because I have friends who have been Secret Service, and usually whenever the president goes somewhere, they literally evacuate any floor, at least one floor, if not a couple floors above where the president's going to be and below it. And of course, they use the dogs and bomb technology and all that to make sure. But if you're in the hotel, I mean, this guy, if he was that committed, willing to strap something on him, could have just gone to the center of where the ballroom is, and if he brought that ceiling down, he would have odds of doing a lot of damage and hurting a lot of people. This, to my opinion, this was actually a security failure. And either the Secret Service, which they normally, again, I don't understand. Normally, the Secret Service will take over all of the security of a building like this. Was the Hilton, did it give resistance? Was their security still in the scene? It was a security failure, and I'm sticking to that. Because this guy was able to walk in to the Hilton days before, armed to the teeth. All he had to do to get that close to the ballroom was take the elevator down. And we're lucky, stick with me on this, we're lucky in this respect that this guy got radicalized by the left and did this as a lone wolf. Now that we know that there's a fatwa on Trump from Iran, we're in a war with Iran. We've got a long list of people who would like to see Trump not be president that way. So if this guy could do that, what would this, in that video, right? That guy was fast. He was Speedy Gonzalez through that hallway, through that lobby. You see a couple of the Secret Service guys, they don't know what the hell just happened. Takes them a second to take position, draw their weapons. But what if this was orchestrated by a hit team? Instead of this lone wolf guy, you had 6 or 10 or 12 mercenaries or assassins who just simply checked into the Hilton a couple days before the event. Clearly, they were able to walk in with whatever they wanted in their luggage. And if they had that much trouble that they didn't even hit this guy with a 25-second gun battle, and every one of them missed him, not one bullet laid on this guy, what if 10 guys armed to the teeth rushed those megatometers and those doors? If somebody had been able to penetrate the doors to that ballroom with an automatic weapon or a shotgun or multiple guns on them, the damage that would have been done in there and the number of people that would have been killed and or hurt would be astronomical. And it would have been on the Secret Service. So I'm sorry, folks, this was a security failure. And then the lone wolf, right, versus the bigger picture here. The manifesto proves anti-Trump rage. And where was that cultivated? Where were those seeds planted? This is the third high attempt in 2 years. A few months ago, a guy who tried to get into Mar-a-Lago grounds with a shotgun got arrested and done because he was nowhere. But that didn't really hit the news, did it? And we didn't hear a lot covered in the news about the price on his head by Iran in the 420. I mean, here we are supposed to be having negotiations where they have an active contract out to kill the man. I mean, don't you think that Iran, in a good faith gesture, should make a public announcement that they're pulling back the contract to the fatwa to kill Donald Trump? This political rhetoric across it incited it, and that's the bottom line on that. It really is. What say you on this? I maintain this was a security failure, clean and simple. I'm sorry, but it was. In the moment the Secret Service responded, yes, they got all that. But if that would have been a multiple person attack, they would have been screwed and we'd have a very different story. And I'm very disappointed about that. And yes, build the damn ballroom. It's been, every president has said we need it. They're so anti-Trump, they can't handle this. But folks, we have to take our break here in the middle of the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN. Reminding you can join the conversation at 508-871-7000. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Lines open and available. Stick with us. We'll be back on the other side on today's edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show.
WCRN.
If you've ever worried about a parent or loved one eating well, here's a simple solution. Heart to Home Meals delivers great tasting, ready-to-eat frozen meals made with seniors in mind. With over 150 choices, it's easy to find meals that fit different tastes and dietary needs. There's no subscription and no minimum order. And delivery is always free. Heart to Home Meals, a smart, comforting way to make sure good food is always close by. HeartToHomeMeals.com.
Looking for a station that brings you all sides of the story? Tune in to 50,000-watt powerhouse WCRN, where the left and the right meet in the middle. Whether you lean left, lean right, or just want to stay informed, WCRN has you covered with diverse voices, lively debates, and thought-provoking discussions. From politics and health to pop culture, you'll hear it all right here. Radio Central, where opinions from both sides come together for the conversations that matter. From the center of the dial, the center of New England, and the center of information, AM 830, WCRN, Radio Central.
Tired of rush doctor's visits? Are you finding it tough to get a doctor's appointment? And when you finally do, are you in and out before you know it? Did your doctor take the time to ask about your diet or exercise routine? Did they order the right lab tests? And how do you know if these are the labs you need and how to interpret them? Discover the freedom of ordering your own lab tests. Phil George, clinical biochemist and health coach, can guide you on which blood tests to order. Customized to your personal health goals, Phil's extensive training ensures that you receive the best advice on interpreting your lab results and understanding their implications. Plus, by ordering labs on your own, you'll pay far below insurance prices. Looking for an alternative to conventional medicine? Phil George can help you navigate your health journey with a personalized approach. Just email Phil at philgeorge@charter.net for a free consultation. Your health and well-being are within reach, and it starts with the right guidance. Don't miss this opportunity to take control of your health. Reach out today and embark on a path to better health with Phil George.
Bad decisions limit future options. Stop adversity from becoming stress. Listen to The Float Line with host Rick Hughes, Sundays at 9 a.m. on AM 830 WCRN for inspiration, education, all without manipulation. The Float Line, Sundays at 9 a.m.
Never miss any of your favorite programs on Radio Central WCRN. For on-demand replays of this and other shows, visit WCRNradio.com.
WCRN Radio is thrilled to bring back a legendary voice, and now you can help tell the stories. Paul Harvey captivated millions with his unique style and unmistakable voice. By sponsoring the rest of the story, your brand can become a part of this rich tradition, and it links your business with a program that people love and trust. So don't miss this unique opportunity to grow your business while becoming part of something truly special. For sponsorship details, just go to WCRNradio.com.
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know of deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8441.
Ziti's Italian Ristorante is where to make Mother's Day a lasting memory. Show your mother that you understand. You finally understand. A mother's love is just like a fine meal prepared by an authentic Italian trattoria. Ziti's menu will offer your mother a selection of ethereal Epicurean delights. Come eat at Ziti's Restaurant on Route 9 East in Westboro. Your mother will love it. Make it Mother's Day at Ziti's Italian Ristorante, Route 9 East in Westboro.
All right, folks, welcome back here. Second half of the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here on AM 830 WCRN. Again, you can join the conversation for the time we have left together at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. Also reminding you folks that other than Wednesday, and probably that will end shortly anyway, but Peter Blute has stepped away from the mic for a while, so I am moving, or have moved, to Sunday, starting right after the Float Line at 9:30. So join me here Sunday mornings, 9:30 to noon on Radio Central, AM 830 WCRN. And don't forget, we are streaming to the TuneIn app. Very easy to take us anywhere. And the Cameo Cam is on, so if you'd like to just listen and watch on Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, all those places, you're welcome to do that. 508-871-7000. Lines are open and available, and text line 617-297-8388. So we had the King and Queen come for their state visit. So this happened. So they came yesterday, Monday. They're still in the Ground Zero 9/11 memorial. Timing, naturally, I'm sure the King's security in Parliament was concerned about this, but good on the King and the Queen. And it's Queen Consort. That's a whole nother discussion about the royals, and that's going on. But I've always been okay with Prince Charles and King Charles. I think he's a little out of touch when it comes to the whole climate change thing. I don't think he's quite where he should be on that. But we had this gunman 4 days ago, try to turn the White House Correspondents' dinner into a bloodbath, is what they were trying to do. And then yesterday, President Trump literally rolled out the red carpet for King Charles III and the Queen Consort, Camilla. This is the first state visit in his second term. And certainly the second time a reigning monarch addressed Congress during session of Congress. And the other one was his mother, the Queen, in, I think, 1991. So he had the state dinner at the White House, historic address to the joint session of Congress. Whole 9 yards going on here. It wasn't just tea and crumpets. The king came in the year here of our 250th anniversary of our independence, of America's independence, being celebrated by the very monarchy we once told to take a hike. And sure, we had a rough several decades in the beginning of that relationship, but it did end in being one of the strongest alliances on the planet. And in the alliance between the United States and the United Kingdom is often referred to as a special alliance. And this is what's making all this fascinating. The British monarch has almost zero real power, right? They are a figurehead. You know, it was said that the king would have to sign, or the queen would have had to sign their own death warrant if Parliament passed it. Because Parliament does run the show, and it's an elected body, similar to us, but different in how they do it. They go through a lot of prime ministers. They're set up different, but it is an elected body that supposed to represent the people, and Parliament does it, and the prime minister acts as our president. Yeah. And this is what saved this monarchy, because they surrendered that power a significant amount of time ago, long before the people of Europe started cutting the heads off or gunning down the kings and queens and prince and princesses of their countries. So they don't have any real power in the sense of constitutional power, and constitutional crises can be formed easily. But Parliament runs the show. But see, the king and queen, and this is a pretend queen as far as I'm concerned, the king and queen still carry enormous sway with the British people, as quite likely also within Westminster. And yes, they get in the speech the king gave would have been either crafted by or at least approved by members of Parliament. So even the king can't go and say whatever he wants and however he wants and so forth. But they surrendered. I mean, at one time, right? The House of Windsor, and they changed the name of World War I because Mountbatten and were too German for World War I, and they came up with Windsor. But the monarchy in Britain surrendered this power. They technically owned everything at one time, and they surrendered their power in exchange for the royal stipend to live on. The planes are run by the Royal Air Force, the Navy, or the Britannia. They used to be the yacht, or they travel with the Royal Navy, and that's why everything is her, or now His Majesty's Secret Service, His Majesty's Navy, His Majesty's Air Force. So they don't have constitutional power. They do have a couple things that they can do. For the prime minister, for one, actually, the king or queen, the monarch, will approach the leader of the party that they put forth, ask them to go create a government in their name. And even though they don't have power, if they call out somebody politically, again, they're not supposed to do that, but it does carry some sway. And the queen did a very great job for a very long time of diplomacy, right? Mending fences, representing the people of Great Britain, or I should say United Kingdom. It's a weird country, right? Because Britain is one thing, and then the United Kingdom is actually all the territories, but that's another show, I guess. But they add this, or the king anyway, adds a general warmth and wit when it comes to Donald Trump. It seems that King Charles and Donald Trump genuinely like each other. And you've got a story here that's equal parts of diplomacy, history, and pure entertainment, really. The king was kind of funny. I don't know if you watched this, but he had some good jokes here. They said this is the first visit of Trump's second term for the 250th birthday. The king had hosted him last year, or earlier, I guess, in the administration at Windsor Castle. And they did the whole pomp and ceremony. Whenever a royal is, involved, you're going to have that. They had tea at the White House, garden party at the British Embassy. He did the joint address to Congress. And again, only his mother was the only other sitting king to do that. But the special relationship, the US-UK special relationship, it was on display. Starmer here, the current prime minister, and Trump, as we know, because we've talked about it on this show, folks, not getting along. I mean, the guy, Diego Garcia Base, saying no to us. I mean, I'm sure that didn't sit well with the king. Yeah. Okay, from Texter, yeah, 873. Very good about World War XII. Just in case you guys missed that, Iliad Omar was reading some nonsense about something in World War II, of course, scripted. And this is a sitting member of Congress who has no concept of our history. Remember, she's the one who said on 9/11, some people did something somewhere. But this was a Biden moment to me, Texter, because she read what was in front of her. And instead of seeing World War II, she thought it was World War XI. So we're working on World War XII now, I guess. But the woman doesn't understand World War I, World War II. Yes, that was funny, but very sad, by the way. Thank you, Texter. The special relationship. Now, President Trump, King Charles, toasted unity, shared some history, cooperation, and everything from the defense in the Middle East. And we have this recent friction. Both are okay with Ukraine. I mean, not okay with Ukraine. That's a bad way to say it. Both are, I think, coming from, it's not good what's going on in Ukraine. Let's bring that to an end. We know Trump certainly is on that, all right, in the aid levels. Maybe Trump has a problem with blank checks, and what's one of the things he changed? Well, yeah, we'll help you out, Ukraine, but we want some mineral rights, and we want the ability to set up some bases there and all that. But the situation with Iran, this is just, stop debating whether we should go into it, because we're into it. In this special relationship with Great Britain, is it special? Because Keir Starmer just crapped all over that. And to say to us, you can't use the base to launch aircraft, that doesn't mean you're seriously involved into this conflict in Iran. You're doing what a NATO partner and what a special relationship ally to the United States should be doing. Now they're trying to spin this visit, trying to, being sold as proof of the transatlantic bond is bigger than any president or prime minister. But we've seen Trump's attitude. Like, take Spain. He has no use for Spain right now. And a lot of these countries wouldn't even be spending what they're spending on defense if he hadn't called them out on it in term one and term two. So the monarchies, for Britain that is, the monarchy is limited, but they do have real sway. So he is a king, but he's a constitutional monarch. He opens parliament. He gives royal assent to bills. He appoints the prime minister after elections, but he appoints the one that they elect, if you understand what I'm saying. He doesn't really appoint somebody else. So when the party that's the Labor Party or whatever is in control, they elect him to do it, and then that person goes to Buckingham Palace, and they meet with the monarch. And in that meeting, it was the Queen. Now the King would say to that person, please go forth and create a government in my name. It's ceremonial. Technically, the monarch is asking that person to create that government for him. But he can't veto any bills or laws, the parliament. He doesn't have any powers of a president, or he can't make policy either. Well, not officially. Again, if the king will publicly give his opinion or feelings on something, it can affect policy. It can affect the people, but he has no constitutional authority to put it in writing or force it to come through. Yet he remains this very powerful symbol of national unity and continuity. His mother was longest reigning monarch. So the King Charles's weird his soft power, his words, his presence still move public opinion and can gently nudge Parliament and people on issues like climate and tradition and British identity. But they had a lot of chemistry and banter. They always have. And I watched his address and I watched a lot of the coverage, not sitting there just glued to it, but I did on the speech. But then Trump joked it was a beautiful British day because it was a little gray and overcast in the rain. Told the story of his mother having a crush on the young Prince Charles. And of course, remember, Trump made the comment about, hey, if it wasn't for us in World War II, you'd be speaking German. Well, the king shot back, if it wasn't for us, you'd be speaking French. Because the French pulled our biscuits out, right, in War 1812. So there were a lot of jokes. There were funny jokes. He quoted the king during his speech. I thought one of the better ones. Oscar Wilde, we have really everything in common with America nowadays, except, of course, language. That's true in the sense that they have a lot of different words for things that we have, and sometimes, especially the Cockney accent, very hard to understand. I also liked King George never set foot in America, and please rest assured, I'm not here as part of some cunning rearguard action. It's good stuff. Another one of my favorite when he said, 250 years ago, or we say in the United Kingdom just the other day. Funny, because a monarchy moves about as fast as the Vatican does, right? So foreign policy optics here and subtle tensions. And I'm wondering when he's back in England, and the prime minister goes for his weekly visit, which is all part of the tradition. The monarch of Britain every day gets what they call a red box. And in that red box is everything that the monarch is should know going on in the government. So there would be reports on debates, legislation passed, security things about what's going on around the world and how it affects Great Britain and all of that. Red box gets that every day, but they also the monarch gets a visit from the prime minister. And it's a sit down, come in, whatever the discussion that's between those, there's no audience or secretaries there. And the red box, Queen Elizabeth's father told her in one of the biographies I read that he started when she was very young, letting her come in while he got the red box because obviously she was going to be monarch one day. And he would teach her to open the box, but turn it upside down and read from the bottom up because they would always bury the stuff they didn't want the king to see in the box. And therefore start at the bottom and work your way up. So they read a lot. My mother was so into the royal family. There were tons of books around the house when I was a kid about the monarchy. But we have tensions here because of the prime minister. And we're navigating these subtle differences, right? on Iran, Ukraine support, and of course, defense spending. And when the king spoke to Congress, he emphasized the alliance, while gently pushing back on some of Trump's positions. So, is this visit papering over some cracks? Is it mending a little fences or trying to put that or prove that this relationship is rock solid no matter who's in the White House? I think in this case, we're more concerned about who's the prime minister, because that's the person who has fell, in my opinion, short of the special relationship between the two countries. And now in 2026, few years from the Queen's death, does the royal family still matter in the republic that kicked them out 250 years ago? Or does the pomp and personal rapport between Trump and Charles remind us why we have the special relationship, why it has survived wars and Brexit and two very different kind of leaders? After all, both positions are not for life, whereas the king or the monarch is. And that's, I think, where the role of the monarch is the continuity. I think didn't the Queen, don't hold me to this, I think she was reigning monarch over 14, that sounds low, at least 14 prime ministers. Might be more. They seem to change them a lot. But no matter who our president is, maximum time that they would be dealing with the king or the monarch and whoever the prime minister is, 8 years maximum, right? And prime ministers over there, I mean, Margaret Thatcher had a long run, longer than most PMs are. And to my point about the Queen, right? I mean, usually the monarchy doesn't tolerate divorce. It's not part of the Church of England, the history there, but the British people seem to still love it. And I'm wondering how you guys feel about that, about the seeing Trump and the king joke around. Is it making you feel better about U.S.-UK ties? Or everything I just explained with the monarchy and the relationship to parliament and the prime minister, does it matter? Since the monarch has no constitutional power, it really matters who is the prime minister, because look at the damage, in my opinion, that this prime minister has done with the relationship with the United States. I think that's nuts. Absolutely nuts, because if you're the prime minister of England and the United States needs something from you, your answer should really be, what do you need? How fast do you need it? No problem, in my opinion. And of course, we can't let this go, that here we have King Charles III state visit, while Democrats and left-wing groups staged a No Kings protest across the country recently, railing against Trump and some kind of authoritarian monarch. I think Trump did a post, right, with the picture of the two of them saying something about two kings, having the left get a meltdown. Yeah, it was the official White House X account posted a photo of President Trump standing with King Charles, captioned "Two Kings." That's a big troll, and rightly so. I would have done more than that. And the left lost their minds over this thing, calling it proof Trump wants to be royalty. The fact how they project these things, like they know how people are thinking. Let me clue you in on the left, guys. No, he doesn't want to be royalty. We're making fun of you. We're laughing at you. Trump in that 60-minute interview, I think it was this, wasn't a 60-minute? I think it was. Don't hold me to it. When he said it straight out, if I was a king, I wouldn't be having this conversation with you. I wouldn't need to. You wouldn't be allowed to ask the questions you are asking, right? You wouldn't be allowed to say the things if I was a king, if this was so just stop it. He's a president. And my point to the people on the left who are so upset and worried about President Trump, I say to you, it's a shame that you have such a lack of confidence in the American system. Yeah, think about that. It's a shame that you don't have the faith in this brilliant government set up by our founding fathers with checks and balances in 3 equal but separate branches of government. Because we have a Congress, a legislative branch that makes the laws. And we have a judicial branch that knocks anything down, including any president that gets too big for their britches, they'll get knocked down. So to take this, and I understand somewhere in the left-leaning halls or back rooms or wherever they meet under bridges, I don't know, somebody came up with this idea to go with the king thing. No king's rally and authoritarian. Our system of government doesn't allow that to happen. And if you took a second, maybe a class on the Constitution, you would understand that there are checks and balances, and they can't do that. And no, he can't run for a 3rd term. And no, he can't do whatever he wants. And this particular president has followed every court injunction in order that they've placed, regardless of how stupid and how biased it clearly was, and they fight it the way they're supposed to. They appeal to it until it gets up to the Supreme Court, and more often than not, it ends up on their side, because a lot of these activist judges and people on the left are absolutely acting out of emotion, not common sense, not constitutional law, just out of emotion. And their emotion is, I'm right, I know better, you're stupid if you don't agree with me, therefore you don't deserve to be heard, listened to, honored, or even protected. And that's a scary thought, folks. It really is a scary thought. All right, we're going to be wrapping up this week's Joe Mangiacotti show. Before I leave, I didn't get to go in. I'll get it on Sunday. James Comey indicted again. Right, there's a whole story there on why that failed the first time and so forth. But this will wrap up the Wednesday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN Radio Central. Join me Sunday morning, 9:30 for the Joe Mangiacotti Show, 9:30 to noon here on Radio Central. 508-871-7000 is how you'll be able to join the conversation then. This wraps me up. Don't forget, this turned into a podcast. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Joe out.
Headline news, weather, and local information. 8